Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina astafa amma ba'd. يقول الله تبارك وتعالى في كلامه المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم تبارك الذي نزل الفرقان على عبده ليكون للعالمين نذيرا رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, there are 5 names for the Quran. Our ulama of Quran, of Tafsir have stated there are many descriptions of the Quran. Shifa is one description, cure, maw'idah, advice, huda, guidance. But one is a description and one is the actual names. When it comes to names for the Quran, there's 5. Al-Quran, Al-Furqan, Al-Kitab, Al-Tanzil, Al-Dhikr. So Allah Azza wa Jal has stated in Surah Furqan, the very first ayah of Surah Furqan, Tabarakalladhi nazzal al-Furqan. Blessed is He who has sent the Furqan, who has revealed the Furqan, ala abdihi, on his servant, liyakuna lil alamina nadhira, so it serves as a warning to all of mankind. Now Furqan, the meaning of Furqan means to distinguish, farraqa yufarriq, to distinguish between right and wrong, between haqq and batil. And one way Quran distinguishes, serves its purpose as Furqan, is that it points out or corrects the corruption that is found in the previous scriptures, the corruption that man-made distortions in the Torah and in the Injil. For example, Musa alayhi salam, he left Bani Israel and he left Harun alayhi salam in charge of Bani Israel, and he went to receive the Torah. Mentioned in Surah Taha, Surah number 20. When he went to receive the Torah, Allah Azza wa Jal informed him, قال إِنَّا قَدْ فَتَنَّا قَوْمَكَ مِنْ بَعْدِكَ وَأَضَلَّهُمُ السَّامِرِي, that, O Musa, we have tested your people, Bani Israel. We have put them in a test, which is of course the worship of the calf. We have put them in a test. وَأَضَلَّهُمُ السَّامِرِي, and Samiri has misled them. Samiri is that munafiq who accompanied Musa alayhi salam from Egypt. Now, why it seems almost as if Allah Azza wa Jal went out of his way to say وَأَضَلَّهُمُ السَّامِرِي, that Samiri misled them. Why? Because in the Bible, there is a verse that in the book of Exodus, that Aaron built the golden calf. Who is Aaron? Harun alayhi salam. And he made the Israelites worship the golden calf. Who? Harun alayhi salam. The blame is put in the book of Exodus, and he put the Israelites to worship, or he led the Israelites. Israelites are who? Bani Israel. He led the Israelites to worship the golden calf. Who? Aaron. Ma'adallah. Quran says that no, Harun did not lead them astray. Who led them astray? وَأَضَلَّهُمُ السَّامِرِي. There's another, again in Surah Taha, a mu'jiza of Musa alayhi salam, where he's instructed, وَضْمُمْ يَدَكَ إِلَى جَنَاحِكَ, put your hand under your arm. تَخْرُجْ بَيْضَاء, it will come out white, shining white. مِنْ غَيْرِ سُوء, without any disease, without any blemish, without any stain. Why was there a need for Quran to state مِنْ غَيْرِ سُوء, without any disease? Because again in the book of Exodus, in the Bible, and the Lord said to Moses, this is what the Bible, and the Lord said to Moses, O Moses, put your hand in your cloak, it will come out Put your hand in your cloak, it will come out leprous. Leprosy, the disease. It will come out leprous, white as snow. Bayda, white as snow. It will come out leprous, snow white. So Quran states that this hand coming out was not leprosy, it was shining white. And then according to the Bible, he would put his hand back and that leprosy would be gone. And he would take his hand out, it would be leprous. So Quran says, وَضْمُمْ يَدَكَ إِلَى جَنَاحِكَ تَخْرُجْ بَيْضَاءَ مِنْ غَيْرِ سُوءٍ, without any disease, without any blemish, without any fault, without any stain. Similarly, these are just two examples in the life of Musa alayhi salam. When it comes to Adam alayhi salam and all the prophets, Quran sets the record straight. Quran exalts the prophets and sets the record straight. When it comes to Isa alayhi salam, during this time in December, that is the topic of today's khutbah. During the time of Isa alayhi salam, what happened? Quran sets the record straight. Only one example I will give you, and that's all we have time for. Quran says that one of the missions, one of the job descriptions of Isa alayhi salam was وَلِيُحِلَّ لَكُمْ بَعْضَ الَّذِي حُرِّمَ عَلَيْكُمْ, that, O Bani Israel, I have come to make halal some of the things that were haram. In other words, for Bani Israel in the Sharia of Musa alayhi salam, in the Torah, there were many things that were haram. And Isa alayhi salam came to make some of those things halal. He did not come to abolish the law. That is why it is so hard for them to understand the word Sharia law. Because there is no Sharia law. There is the Sharia of Musa alayhi salam. People of the Jewish faith, they understand Sharia law perfectly well because they have the laws. They have hijab, they have kosher, they have all the laws. And they are practicing it, the observant, the orthodox Jews are practicing those laws to some extent. What happened with Christianity? Now if you ask a Christian, when do you start fasting? What time? Oh, it's up to me, whenever I decide. When do you stop fasting? Oh, it's up to me. Today, I've decided to stop fasting and break my fast at 6 p.m. What do you fast from? Oh, it's up to me. I can fast from meat, or I can fast from liquids. It's whatever I choose, whatever I decide. What is the minimum part of the body that you have to cover? Oh, it's up to me. As long as I'm not abusing the body, there's no minimum. I can wear anything I want. But there is law. So we say, oh, there's too many laws in Islam. Oh, there's do's and don'ts. No, all the religions from Allah Azza wa Jal that came either through Musa alayhi salam or through Isa alayhi salam or through Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, all of them have laws. One group decided to get rid of all their laws. And Paul, how did it happen? This is interesting. There was a person by the name of Paul. He called himself an apostle, and he insisted that people should call me the apostle, Apostle Paul. Even though apostle was reserved for someone who saw Jesus, who saw Isa alayhi salam and walked with him and talked with him. It's like somebody who was born after Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam insisting that I should be called a Sahabi. So anyhow, we will call him Paul the apostle. He accepted, I won't say Christianity, he accepted the teachings of Isa alayhi salam, or he accepted Isa alayhi salam in the year 37. Isa alayhi salam was lifted into the heavens, بَرَّفْعَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِ, as Quran states. In which year? Most probably the year 33. The year 33. And Paul accepted Isa alayhi salam, became a Christian in the year 37. 5 years after. Before, he used to actually persecute and torture Christians, the followers of Isa alayhi salam. Now what has happened is most of the practice that you see in Christians are actually the teachings of Paul, not the teachings of Isa alayhi salam, and not the teaching of his apostles. That is why our ulama have said that Christianity should be rightfully called Pauline, because it has more to do with the teachings of Paul than it has to do with the actual teachings of Isa alayhi salam. And some of our ulama have gone as far as to say that he was a munafiq, and deep down inside he had really not accepted Isa alayhi salam, and he only showed that he accepted Isa so he could corrupt Christianity from the inside, which he successfully did. He distorted it. So he was preaching outside of Jerusalem mainly. Like Medina Munawwara was the hub, the headquarters, and Islam spread from Medina. The teachings of Isa alayhi salam were spreading from where? Jerusalem. Paul, instead of staying in Jerusalem and learning from the disciples, from the apostles, he went outside and started preaching deep into Roman territory, preaching to the Gentiles. Who are the Gentiles? All the non-Jews, those who are not from Bani Israel, are called Gentiles. The apostles who walked with Isa alayhi salam, who sat with him, who prayed with him, who ate with him, they called Paul back to Jerusalem. They called him and they said, "What are you doing?" Because preaching to the Gentiles, Isa alayhi salam had not come to preach to the Gentiles. Quran says, وَإِذْ قَالَ عِيسَى بْنُ مَرْيَمْ, when Isa, son of Maryam, son of Mary, said, "Ya Bani Israel, O Bani Israel, inni Rasulullahi ilaykum." O Bani Israel, I have been sent as a messenger to you. To who? You, Bani Israel. So in essence, Christianity is not a missionary religion. They are not supposed to preach to all people of the world. Anyhow, so one of the things Paul was doing is he was preaching to the Gentiles. And when people are converting, it is very hard for converts to follow the law, to follow the Sharia. Imagine thousands of people are accepting the teachings of Paul. And it's very hard for them to follow the law. Do this, don't do this, eat this, this is halal, this is haram, you cannot do this. So he started telling the people, you don't have to follow the Mosaic law. Paul. They called him back to Jerusalem. Who? The actual apostles of Isa alayhi salam, Thomas, Peter. They called him back and they said, what are you doing? He said, these converts are not going to follow the law. They're not going to follow the law. So they should not, the Mosaic law, the law that Musa alayhi salam brought, the Torah, and the law that Isa alayhi salam confirmed, these converts are not obligated to follow the Mosaic law. So this was agreed on in the year 50. In the Council of Jerusalem. How many years after Isa alayhi salam? 17 years. Only after 17 years after Isa alayhi salam, it was decided in the Council of Jerusalem. Paul convinced the apostles that converts, Gentiles, do not have to follow the law. Now, keep this in mind. Keep this picture in mind. Now I want you to compare what I have just told you with something that happened when Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed away. Here Isa alayhi salam left the world. What happened 17 years later? Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam left the world, and there is an army that is about to embark that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself had prepared and tied the flag and made the leader Usama bin Zayd, and said this army should go. And where? Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had instructed it to go and fight on the Byzantine front, deep into Rome, Byzantine territory. Now, who is in this army under Usama? Because Usama is a teenager. Who is under him? Umar radiallahu anh is under him. And Ubaidullah ibn Jarrah radiallahu an is under him. And Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu an is under the leadership of Usama. The army is outside of Medina, right on the outskirts, getting ready. People are going back. I forgot this. I need to bring this. I need to get this. Getting everything ready. They are about to embark on this expedition. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had given the command, Anfidhu Jaysha Usama. Anfidhu Jaysha Usama. Tell the army of Usama to go. And they are making preparations, still on the outskirts of Medina. And Usama radiallahu an receives the news that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has left this world. Now what to do with this army? Because news is coming in from all over Arabia that most of the tribes have left Islam. Either they refuse to pay zakat. They said, we are going to pray salah, but we are not going to pay zakat. Or they began to follow Musaylamatul Kadhab, Musaylama the liar, the false prophet. And some have said our allegiance with Islam was only until Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was alive. Now we are no longer Muslims since Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is no more. And on top of that, there was news coming in that the enemies of Islam then were going to attack Medina because they decided with their prophet, now he's dead, we can attack Medina and finish Muslims once and for all. Now what to do? Elderly Sahaba, Kibarus Sahaba, they were giving the advice to Abu Bakr radiallahu an that keep this army that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has instructed to go, keep this army for the protection of Medina. And because if all of us leave and there are no men in Medina, then who is going to protect the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Who is going to protect the women and the children? And those who are refusing to give zakat, we will deal with them later. Put them on the to-do list. Number 2, number 3. We don't have to tackle them right now. Because if we do, then we won't have anyone left in Medina. No man left in Medina. Abu Bakr radiallahu an, he gave a response. Are you ready to hear this response? He said, فَوَالَّذِي لَا إِلَهَ غَيْرُهُ لَوْ جَرَّتِ الْكِلَابِ أَرْجُو لِأَزْوَاجِ النَّبِي صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ ما رددت جيشا وجهها رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ولا حللت لواء عقده رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. If there is no one in Medina to defend the wives of the Prophet, to defend the women in Medina, and the wild animals, the dogs and the wolves come into Medina and they drag the bodies of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ by their feet, this I can tolerate. This I can tolerate. But I cannot stop the army that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had instructed to embark. Ma radattu jayshan wajjaha Rasulullah. And the flag that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam had tied with his own hand and given it to Usama, I am going to untie that flag? That can never happen. I can tolerate that. Wild animals coming and dragging the bodies of the wives of the Prophet outside of Medina. But I cannot tolerate. As far as zakat, compare this to what happened 17 years after Isa alayhi salam. As for zakat, those who are refusing to give zakat, فَوَاللَّهِ لَوْ مَنَعُونِي إِقَالًا مِمَّا كَانُوا يُعْتُونَ النَّبِيَّ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ لَجَاهَدْتُهُمْ. If during the time of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam they used to give a camel and a rope in zakat, and today they want to give the camel but not the rope, I will do jihad against them. I will not tolerate. Then the sentence he said, أَيَنْقُسُ الدِّينُ وَأَنَا حَيٌّ أَيَنْقُسُ الدِّينُ وَأَنَا حَيٌّ. Can there be any decrease in Islam and Abu Bakr is still alive? Not on my watch, as you would say. Not on my watch. This is how Allah protected Islam. Otherwise, the true teachings of Isa alayhi salam did not last for more than 60 years. Do we realize what ni'mah we have? The Subhana Rabbiyal Azim that we say in ruku' is the same Subhana Rabbiyal Azim that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam has said in ruku'. To the minute detail. The prayer that we have, the fast that we have, the zakat, the hajj. If Isa alayhi salam came back today, he would not be able to recognize the Christians as the teachings that he has left them. He would not be able to recognize this as anything to do with what he has taught. If Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was to come back today, he would recognize this as the Islam that he has left us on 1400 years ago. How? There was sacrifice of our pious predecessors. It was the divine plan of Allah to protect Islam, yes, but the sacrifices that went to it, the sacrifices that went into it to preserving Islam so it remains intact, unaltered, pristine, crystal clear, 1400 years later. And all we have to do is what? Practice it. It's like halwa being given on a plate. Halwa being given on, all you have to do is eat it. The Islam is there, preserved, as it was revealed to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam through Angel Jibreel. All we have to do is what? Open the book and practice on it. And we have to teach our children. May Allah Azza wa Jal give us the realization of what ni'mah we have, the ni'mah of Islam. And may Allah Azza wa Jal enable us to pass it on to our children. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. Please pray your son.